Alright guys, so today I'm going to be shooting some of the Rainier Ballistics 180 grain hollow point made for the 300 Blackout. That's a copper plated bullet, pretty inexpensive for a 300 Blackout bullet. I think it's going to be a good fit for relatively inexpensive subsonic. As you can tell, the lighting's not great today. I was actually hoping to shoot outside. I knew it was going to be cold today, but the wind's blowing pretty good. Supposedly it's about 15 degrees. I didn't bring my Kestrel, but according to the nearest weather station, 15 degrees with a 0-degree wind chill. So, fortunately I'm shooting inside today, so the lighting's not going to be great. But I think the sound will be a little better since you won't be listening to the wind. So, basically for shooting subsonic ammo, none of the load manuals that I could find actually showed subsonic 180 grain bullets, and I've made subsonic loads with 150 grain full metal jacket, boat tail, basically the cheap Hornady stuff, and I've gotten it to cycle just fine in my 300 Blackout and the 300 Whisper before it, suppressed and unsuppressed. I just fired about 5 rounds of that. I think you'll probably see some a little bit later, but even with the 150 grain, I've got a subsonic load that's real inexpensive to shoot. So we're going to try some of these 180 grains. I don't know with the weather and the snow on the ground if I'm going to have a chance to try to recover any of these to see if I can see how they expand. I don't have any actual media with me, gel or wax, to shoot it into. So let's at least see if we can develop a good load for them that's in the subsonic range. I've got the chronograph set up out there, and since all of the data shows supersonic loads, what I'm going to do is I'm loading these with brass that's converted from 223 and accurate arms 1680. So what I did is I started at the starting load, which is 13 grains, which, if I remember right looking at the manual, was around 1300 feet per second. And I've got loads loaded down 13, 12, 11, 10 and a half, and 10. And I'm going to see if I can get one of those that is subsonic but still cycles and feeds and hopefully holds open the bolt on the last round. Now what I did is I loaded up 10 of each, and I'm going to go ahead and go through each of them without the suppressor on, see how they function, make sure I'm not getting anything funny like a bullet stuck in the barrel or something like that. And then once I've gone through and make sure they all work, kind of get an idea which one I want to use, I'm going to go back through and I'm going to shoot them all with the suppressor on and get an idea of the velocities and everything with the suppressor on, see if that changes it. It is possible that it'll change the actual function. You know, what may not cycle properly without the suppressor may cycle properly with. But ideally, I'd like to get a load that's subsonic and cycles both suppressed and unsuppressed. And I already have a 150 grain load that does that, and I've had heavier loads. I've done the video on the 230 grain lead bullet, and back when I was shooting Whisper, I've been able to develop a load with 150 grain through 220 grain. So let's go ahead and take a look. We'll write down some velocities and see how these 180 grains do. Well, that's not a good start. Huh, I don't seem to want to feed. I did test them, but I was only loading 1 or 2 in the magazine and testing them that way. Possible the extra rounds in the magazine are impeding it. Nope. Still with only 3. Let's try it with 2 in the magazine. With 2 it fed just fine. Good, at least shoot them. get some velocity info. .1268. And it did not cycle that second round. .1260. Those last two seem to have a significant vertical dispersion. I've got so they're shooting a little bit right of my normal point of aim, but then they're also, so that first one was, you know, maybe just quarter to half inch high. It's kind of hard to tell. This is a 4-power scope at 50 yards, so trying to measure is kind of hard, but I'm guessing that third and fourth round, that third round was at least 3, maybe 4 inches high, and then that fourth round was 2 or 3 inches high. So very, very significant vertical dispersion there. May have to play a little bit with the seating depth. The manual wants 2.26 inches, pretty standard for 223 for the overall length for 180 grain bullets. But I'm thinking with this big flat hollow point that that's just not working properly. Yeah. Bolts seem to go forward. Let's see how it shoots. .1156. Alright, so some good news and bad. I fired through all of them. I didn't record all of it because I figured that'd get a little boring. But I did get function with all of them, all the way down to the 10 grain load. Unfortunately, my chronograph was dying, so I didn't actually get what I think are good velocities. I think it was around 1,000, but I was getting readings of 9,300 some odd, so obviously that's incorrect. If you know of anything that will actually shoot that fast, let me know, but it's certainly not going to be this load. So everything did work properly. Looking at some of the velocities I took, around 11 grains. I have a really big extreme spread. The 11 grains, I had one at 1,003 and another at 1,113, and then the others were between 1,057 to 1,069. So that 11 grains shows a little bit of promise, but I'm going to have to figure out why I've got so much variation. I could drop it down to 10.5, but I still had 1,111. So could be an error there, maybe especially with the battery dying. So we're going to try this again with the suppressor on. Everything seemed to impact pretty close. So that's another thing. I was thinking of showing you groups, but there really wasn't groups. The rounds are all over the place. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, if that's the bullet or what exactly that is, but I think I'm going to have to find a load that's subsonic and then maybe tweak it a little bit and come out and try it some more. I wanted to at least get you guys an idea of what loading would be subsonic out of this. So for right now, I've got just my 150 grain normal load with the suppressor on now. I'm going to shoot a couple at steel target that's up down there, just to kind of confirm that my zero is still pretty close. Yeah, the 0 looks like it's on for that load. So we're going to try these others and see if we can't see what the velocities are with the suppressor with the new battery, and then maybe see if we can get a little bit better group this time and actually kind of set a 0 for this load. So I'm going to get the chronograph turned back on and then we'll get started. Alright, I'm down to the last 5. With the suppressor on, I actually had a few issues with the load at 10.5. It was averaging, let's see, 1012 through 1025 is the velocities that I was getting. So I'm thinking that 11 is probably going to be the good stopping point for subsonic loads. I still have not been able to get a load or a group worth of crap. I mean, basically everything is just all over the place. So we're going to have to see a little more time to see how that kind of fleshes out. I'll shoot this last group to go ahead and see where it's at, and then I think I'm done. That's all I have for today to load that, and I'm going to have to figure out, I don't know if a better powder would be better, or I'm sorry, a different powder would be better, but so far 1680 and these Rainier Ballistics 180 grains, I'm not too impressed with the accuracy. So let's see what we get for velocity at 10 grains, and then that'll be it. And I'm starting to get error messages again. 9,229. I think that's a little fast for this load. I've got both of the batteries I brought for the Chrono. It takes 9 volts, and I've been putting them in and out of my pocket trying to keep them warm, and it's not enough. Well, that was disappointing. Last 5 rounds and I only got 1 good velocity. So I'll try to put in some of the average velocities once I get time to figure that out. Again, definitely functioning, but so far the accuracy has just been horrible. So I'm not sure if I would be able to get that accuracy a little better with either a different powder, or with maybe going with some different some different overall lengths. So I may try that in the future, but as of right now, I'm not impressed with that accuracy. It might be okay for 20 to 50 yards silhouette sized offhand shooting, or if you just want to plink with it and have a little bit of fun. But so far those Rainier Ballistics just not impressing me accuracy wise. I get better accuracy with subsonic 150 grain full metal jacket bullets. Alright guys, sorry for the handheld video, but just want to show you some of the 180 grain Rainier hollow points out of the 300 Blackout. This is a load with 11 grains of accurate arms, 1680. So as you can see, this is a 50-yard, we'll call it a group. Obviously not a group. That was, I believe, 10 rounds. Well, I attempted to shoot 10 rounds, but with several misfeeds, I left a couple out. You'll see over here, I tried 9 grains of little gun, which was not subsonic. And I actually had the first 5 rounds start going into a pretty good group, so I was starting to have a little more hope for this one. But then as I continued to shoot the next 5, you can see opened up that group significantly. So still not real impressed with the Rainier hollow point. Here was their load. It's 150 grain Nosler CC. I just kind of threw this together using the 150 grain FMJ Hornady load that I use. And again, first attempt, although this is no load workup, this is just copying that other loading, and it's not quite where I would like to see it at. So I've shot several different loadings with that Rainier hollow point. I haven't really messed with overall length yet, but so far I am not very impressed. Even, I was kind of hoping to get kind of a plinking load that I could shoot even for just, you know, up close at steel and things like that. And the accuracy is so poor that unless I'm limiting myself to 10-15 yards, I'm not very impressed. That's basically it with that. If you have any comments, if you've used these bullets and have a good load for them, let me know. I'd definitely be interested in seeing that. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.